In this episode of Travelogue, we explore the beautiful mountains of Mianshan in Shanxi. We follow the tragic footsteps of the ancient Chinese icon Jie Zicui and come face to face with some mysterious and miraculous moments. Welcome to Travelogue and welcome to Jieshou in Shanxi. This is a bustling town that's surrounded by quiet villages as well as a magnificent mountain range. This is a place of beauty, of mystery. I'm Katrina Yu, and during this next episode we're going to show you the best of it. We're heading out to Mianshan, some 20 kilometers from Jieshou city. This mountain is renowned for its beauty and sacred sites, but also for being the home of the man from which Jieshou gets its name. Well, we've just arrived in Mianshan, and here we are greeted by this grand statue of Jie Zicui. Now, you cannot learn about the history of Jieshou without knowing this figure's story. He was an official during the time of about 750 BC who served under the Marquis Wen, and he was so loyal to the Marquis that one day when the Marquis was starving, he cut off a bit of his own leg to feed to him. Now, as the years progressed, he was somewhat passed over by the Marquis in terms of receiving a promotion, and instead Jie went into the forest in the Mianshan area with his mother to live in peace and solitude. Now, when the Marquis found out that he was overlooked, he felt quite bad and tried to convince Jie to come back out and serve the court in a suitably prestigious position. But Jie refused, so his other officials decided that they would smoke him out of the forest. They literally lit the forest on fire, expecting Jie to come out with his mother and walk towards them. But instead, he never came, and they only found ashes, and this was tragically how Jie met his end. Now, at the center of the Mianshan Visitor Center is this really handy giant miniature of Mianshan that allows us to map out all our different destinations while we're here. So if you just follow my finger, we are right here now at the main entrance area, and eventually we'll take a bus which will lead us all the way around, just around the corner here, to all the different temples. And in fact, we can also quite handily see our first stop, which is just over here where the cable cars are, Longjiling. An entrance ticket costs 100 kuai and will get you access to the 14 different tourist areas of the mountain, as well as a bus for transport. There's much to see at Mianshan, and handily some restaurants and accommodation are available, should you decide to stay. So we're heading in one of these yellow cable cars to the top end of Mianshan, to a place called Longjiling, and apparently from there you can get a really spectacular view of all the autumn leaves. Longjiling literally means Dragon's Back Ridge, and is called this because of its shape as seen against the sky. Mianshan's highest point is about 2,500 meters above sea level. As you're going up just below, you can see these really old, very steep, hazardous-looking stone steps. It makes me think that we're quite lucky that in this modern age we've got these cable cars to ride on. Also, the other upside of riding one of these is that you get this really wonderful view of all the treetops. It's really a peaceful and relaxing thing to reflect on. Mianshan is part of the Taiyue mountain range, which is one of the biggest in the province. And although this area is stunning to see all year round, I particularly recommend visiting during autumn, when the trees glow in bright shades of orange and yellow. The philosophy of this tourist attraction seems to be less is more. Even with hundreds of caves and temples to see, the natural scenery is largely untouched. Wow, so this is Mianshan Mountain, the most spectacular view that visitors can come here and see. You can really get a sense of the physical characteristics of Mianshan. If you just look beyond, you see not only the swooping depth of the valley, but you can also see some cliff faces jutting out. You can see the different levels of the hills and some little caves and larger ones where there have been some temples built into them. And what I like specifically about this place, you don't only get a sense of the physical characteristics, you really get a sense of the feeling. This surrounding mountains that suddenly plunge into this valley, that sudden explosion of emptiness, and that sense of quiet, that overwhelming feeling, and why so many people, perhaps seeking solitude or prayer or meditation, have come to this place for centuries. But I soon find out it's not completely untouched. We arrive just in time to catch this team carrying out their regular maintenance of the cliff face. Obviously, not being afraid of heights is a job requirement. Well, if you look up here quickly, I think they're just getting started now. So there's a man just coming over the edge. Oh gosh, he's about 100, at least 100, maybe 200 meters high. And he has got some rope tied around his waist, it looks like. These men live in the surrounding villages, and although I feel nervous just watching from below, Miss Xu tells me they're more than used to it.
他们是咱们绵山的一支高空作业的队伍，我们叫它扫山队，像蜘蛛人一样。他们现在从事的就是这个高空作业之中的其中一项任务，就是扫落微石。他们的绳子呢悬挂在身体之上，但是呢他的腿上也绑着绳子，就像咱们消防队员一样的那种绳裤的样子。顺着这个绳子滑下来，下面你看还有一根引绳，其实呢这个绳子就起到保护他们的作用。他们手中你看还拿着一个铁棍。那个铁棍呢，应该叫撬棍就是需要把这个岩石、微石撬动起来。以前都是当地的村民，他们挖那个武灵芝，就是一种药材，就是用同样的办法来。
Clara, I'm keeping my. So when you see the stones, they seem like little stones falling to the ground and then smashing. You really get a sense of the importance of the job that they're doing. It's better now that they do it once this area is cleared with no cars and people passing by than for the rocks to suddenly accidentally fall and hurt somebody and potentially do a lot of damage. As he gets closer to us, we realize what a tough gig it is. The local reporter filming at his side seems to be having a much more difficult time. These workers may make their job look easy, but as you can see, it's definitely not. Fortunately, they have a very experienced team supporting them from above and below. After about an hour, the job's done, and with the cliff face cleared, we head deeper into the mountain. There are around 400 different tourist attractions in Mianshan, and our next stop is among the most beautiful, Yunfeng Temple. Founded during the Three Kingdoms period, some 1700 years ago, Yunfeng Temple contains around 200 different halls and rooms. The unique structure is said to be the only one of its kind in the world. It also has its own water supply, with several natural springs running through. Buddhist pilgrims have been coming here for centuries, and Yunfeng is also rich in cultural treasures, containing carvings and sculptures from the Tang, Song, Yuan, and Ming dynasties.
古老的寺院从曹魏时期就建设了，1700多年的历史了。啊，冬天那个山洞里边还是暖和，
暖是吗？
对，夏天了又凉快
啊，
所以那里边很适宜修行的。这个环境还是在咱们中国也很少有这个自然景观的。你看这个悬崖巨壁，可以在这儿多待一段时间。阿弥陀佛。
Now, in this corner, you can notice that this grand temple is actually built under the crevice of this big overarching cave. And if you look up here, just in that corner, a few rooms, they used to be the living quarters of some monks who lived here. And the cave meant that during the summer it was kept quite cool, and during the winter it was really warm. But what I think is really cool is if you look a little bit higher, just above the living quarters, you'll see all these bells dangling along with the red flags. Now, my first question is, how did they get there? And the second question is, why are they there? And I found out that actually if a person has a prayer or a wish, they can have one bell hung up there, and every time the wind whistled through it, it would give them good luck and allow them to have more chances of their prayer being answered. Pilgrims can request the bells to be hung high up in the cave, but prayer flags are also simply draped along the path. There seem to be an endless number. And from here, it's easy to see why the spot is associated with such good fortune. We are standing here as the sun is setting in the deepest part of the cave. You get this really nice feeling, the sense of why this spot appealed to so many people. You know, hundreds of years ago, it would have been so difficult to climb all the way up here, let alone to build this huge temple. But you really get a sense of why this spot appealed to them. You stand here and look out into the world, you seem protected and separate from it all. Even now in the year 2000 and whatever, you still have that sense of separateness and that sense of sacredness. Up next on Travelogue, we trek the sacred and somewhat scary route taken by Jie Tui deep into the mountains and are rewarded with a surreally stunning view. This is it. This is the gate which signals the beginning of the route which Jie Tui and his mother are believed to have taken before they headed into the mountain to find peace, solitude, and really a sad end. Strolling through here, I understand why this area appealed to Jie Tui, who was determined to live a peaceful and simple life in the wilderness. Yet, for such a legendary location, I'm pleasantly surprised at how tranquil it remains. The air is fresh and the temperature mild. Coming from the crowded city, it feels like the perfect escape. Whoa! Look at this. I have no idea how Jie Tui would have managed to go through here while carrying his mother on his back. Let's see what kind of a job I do just with my backpack. You definitely need to activate your sense of adventure when taking this path. Oh, and it helps not to look down. And maybe it's also helpful to channel the brave and hardy spirit of Jie Tui. According to the legend, while his peers were living lavishly at court, Jie came to this place wearing old, ragged clothing and surviving only on what he found around him. Thankfully for us, choosing the hermit's path doesn't mean choosing the hermit's life. The entire hike, or climb, only takes about an hour from beginning to end. And it's really enjoyable too, like a long, challenging jungle workout for grown-ups. Just don't forget to pay close attention to where you're going.
Well, that climb wasn't the easiest, and I wouldn't recommend it for anyone who's scared of heights. But we've got the benefit today of ropes and ladders. I can only imagine how difficult it might have been back in the day of Joseph's play.
The difficulty accessing this path is perhaps why it's so well preserved today. And if sometimes slippery steps, dangling ladders and sharp cliff bends aren't enough to keep you fully engaged, along the way you'll also notice signs explaining local folktales or pointing out sacred landmarks, including this one.
Now we're just about to exit the path, and looks like this is what is called the Heavenly Boundary Stone now. This is supposed to be a bit of a heavenly sacred path, and once you go beyond it, well, that's the exit.
After that tough trek, we emerge on the Mianshan mountainside and are rewarded for our efforts with sunshine and a stunning view. Reflecting on the experience, I find myself thinking that Jie Zitui must have enjoyed a happy and quiet life in the forest before meeting his untimely, fiery end. But though tragic, it wasn't a meaningless death. Qingming Festival, which honors the lives of those who have passed, owes much of its tradition to Jie. The custom of eating cold food, still practiced today, originated in a sacrifice to him. But surrounded by this panoramic Chinese ink painting-like view, I soon learned that there's much more to this story.
Whoa! Now, look at this. This is the temple of Jie Zitui, and all around me are these ceiling-to-floor murals demonstrating different scenes from his life, very colorful, very vivid, and all in 3D. And the impact here with the soaring ceilings, this huge statue is very strongly felt as you walk in, and that's on purpose, because this wasn't just an official who lived back in the day. He came to embody so much of what is positive about Chinese culture, all these values, filial duty, fairness, and kindness. And that really is so really accurately demonstrated here in this temple today.
Coming up, we ascend Mianshan in thrilling fashion and arrive at the mysterious Temple of Immortality. How does it feel coming face to face with a mummified monk? We find out next.
Okay, well, next up is the Temple of Immortality, and there's something quite mysterious waiting for us there. But first, we have to get there. Now, there are 3 ways. This, however, is probably the most traditional and most difficult one. I say we give it a go, hey? So.
No pain, no gain. That's a famous Buddhist saying, isn't it? Just kidding. But what isn't a joke is how dangerous this potentially is.
Okay, now you should not try this at home because there are no safety harnesses whatsoever, so I have to make sure that I go slowly and very carefully. Almost there.
Now, I don't know about you, but I don't usually associate serious mountain climbing using chains with visits to temples. But I guess that's what makes a trip to Shanxi so unique. Take it from me, it's a pretty exhilarating way to explore Mianshan. But, of course, if you're not feeling quite so daring, you can always take the stairs. We now find ourselves on the path to Zhongguo Temple, or as I like to think of it, the road to infinity and beyond. Well, what I mean is we're about to enter a place known for its marvels and miracles, where the rules of life and death are said to have been surpassed. Our guide, Miss Guo, explains.
现在您看到这个呢是绵山的包谷真身像，全身舍利像，活着的木乃伊。绵山呢一共有16尊包谷真身像，在全国来讲，它可以说是数量比较多的。包谷真身像它能有这么多，它形成呢有4个条件。首先第一个就是咱们绵山的地理气候，它的这个环境比较清新。第二个呢就是焚香的功效。第三个呢就要说到他们食五谷杂粮，这个就是有关 中国传统的闭关闭谷的修炼方式，刚开始吃人间油烟，后来他就不吃了，只吃山珍野果。绵山的山珍野果无公害，相当于我们的绿色食物。紧接着他就开始怎么样呢？不吃山珍野果，而开始喝水，喝山泉水。再紧接着他连山泉水都不喝，就只是呼吸。再紧接着就是连这个五官的呼吸都没有， 而只是胎息，以肚脐来呼吸，虽脉象微微，面色红润，但是呢，他仍然呢就是没有这个就是体温之后，他的弟子呢将会把它包束起来，这个就是我们所说的包束真容。那您看到的这一尊，我们明显的可以看到他的脚趾骨、手指骨，非常的神奇。您可以看到这个位置，就是他的衣服的衣角，他的指甲骨、 手指骨已经很完全的露了出来，这个就是经过日久的风化，所以说脱落掉了。
During my travels in China, I've come across many temples and many sculptures and statues within them. But here, it's so strange to gaze at these eminent figures, knowing that these are actual people. I think back to images of mummies from Egypt, or the poor people of ancient Pompeii who died in that volcanic eruption. Their bodies are just as well preserved, but with poses contorted in fear and desperation, a complete contrast to these monks. These figures are calm and serene, perfectly at rest, and if you look hard enough, you might even see a smile or two. You know, when you look at the expressions on their faces, you're reminded that these are indeed people, they're not just statues. And what's all the more interesting is if you come here, you can actually read these plaques which have their individual stories. So that one was Master Tan Luan, and he was said to have a special power that could allow him to fly to the opposite mountain overnight. And if you look at this one over here, our friend, where you can actually see his bones even, he was said to be a mute monk who was once upon a time a wayfarer, and he couldn't speak, but he came here and he meditated, and through a miracle he was able to speak, and he was able to teach others how to speak. And it's said that if you come here and you pray to him, and if you have the same problem, you can also regain your powers of speech. I think looking here and sort of gazing at their eyes, it's very fascinating, and also in a way it's rather eerie. Determined to learn more about these monks and their mysterious lifestyle, I head around the corner to Shangfeng Yuan Temple. Achieving enlightenment in Buddhism is certainly no easy affair, and I wanted to know more about the setting in which these masters are said to have attained it. Here, I meet Mr. Dong, a Jieshou local who tells me this entire temple is geared towards the practice of meditation. And it seems the supernatural surprises aren't quite over yet.
这是个天音菩萨啊，整个建筑都是用石头建的。你看这是三宗，就是古代的佛像啊，它这个属于明代。
明代。
过去的高僧啊，他每天在这里念经拜佛，在寺庙后边洞里坐化成正，修成正果啊。那你过来，
好，
用这个小门，它自古以来这是这个小门啊，
好像看不到这个小门。
对，小心碰这个。
好嘞。
对，你这里边是壁有洞天哈，你看这3个洞，啊，这都是古人们用那个石锤一锤一锤造这个洞，这就是高僧在这洞里坐禅每天打坐修行。
Originally, the monks used to use these rooms as a sort of meditation chamber to come here, be alone, and to reflect.
你看，这就是生水泉。
哦。
它下边有泉眼，和这个大山里都通着。这溪泉看似不大，但是多少人吹水总是不苦不厌。
Now, I'm miles away from reaching immortality, but that doesn't mean I can't get a taste of it.
You know, I don't know too much about Buddhist meditation, but back in my life in Beijing, I do a few yoga classes and I've read a lot about mindfulness and the importance of meditation even today. And it's hard enough with your mobile phone, with television, with people all around you trying to detach yourself from the world. And so coming here to this place, to this cave in these secret stony compartments, it's quite easy to see why this place appealed to the monks who were trying to reach completeness and enlightenment. And I may not be able to bring my own stony chamber back with me to the city of Beijing, but I think we can certainly bring back some of the lessons from these monks who lived here in Mianshan.
In this episode of Travelogue, we explore the beautiful mountains of Mianshan in Shanxi. We follow the tragic footsteps of the ancient Chinese icon Jie Zicui and come face to face with some mysterious and miraculous monks.
Welcome to Travelogue and welcome to Jieshou in Shanxi. Convinced Jie to come back out and serve the court in a suitably prestigious position. But Jie refused, so his other officials decided that they would smoke him out of the forest. They literally lit the forest on fire, expecting Jie to come out with his mother and walk towards them. But instead, he never came and they only found ashes. And this was tragically how Jie met his end. Now, at the center of the Mianshan Visitor Center is this really handy giant miniature of Mianshan that allows us to map out all our different destinations while we're here. So if you just follow my finger, we are right here now at the main entrance area, and eventually we'll take a bus which will lead us all the way around, just around the corner here, to all the different temples. And in fact, we can also quite handily see our first stop, which is just over here where the cable cars are, Longjiling. 你好，买一张票。喂，你好。
An entrance ticket costs 100 kwai and will get you access to the 14 different tourist areas of the mountain, as well as a bus for transport.
Here we are greeted by this grand statue of Jedzul's play. Now you cannot learn about the history of Jieshou without knowing this figure's story. He was an official during the time of about 750 BC who served under the Marquis Wen, and he was so loyal to the Marquis that one day when the Marquis was starving, he cut off a bit of his own leg to feed to him. Now, as the years progressed, he was somewhat passed over by the Marquis in terms of receiving a promotion, and instead Jie went into the forest in the Mianshan area with his mother to live in peace and solitude. Now, when the Marquis found out that he was overlooked, he felt quite bad and tried to continue.
This is a bustling town that's surrounded by quiet villages as well as a magnificent mountain range. This is a place of beauty, of mystery. I'm Katrina Yu, and during this next episode, we're going to show you the best of it. We're heading out to Mianshan, some 20 kilometers from Jieshou city. This mountain is renowned for its beauty and sacred sites, but also for being the home of the man from which Jieshou gets its name.
Well, we've just arrived in Mianshan.